Hey guys, making another video today to further spread the good word of the amazing GEO element. A lot of people are still sleeping on GEO units and writing them off until the buffs for them come in 1.3. And while yes, those buffs are going to make them a lot more powerful, they're already all pretty crazy as they are. Now keep in mind that's definitely not me saying they don't deserve the buffs or anything, since they do lose out on some of the things the other elements get. Anyway though, today I'm going to be bringing the Wrath of the Rock with an all GEO team. I'm going to be running through Abyss Floor 10 with only the MC, Zhongli, Albedo, and Noelle. Now obviously I can't only use those four. Technically. I basically did 2 runs with this team running through both sides, and I'm going to edit the 2 runs together into one. I'll be using the same buffs for both runs of course. I won't be swapping anything up so it feels like it's all one run. But yeah, let's go over the team. Obviously I have GEO Resonance active, and with the 4 units I'll basically always have a barrier of some kind on me. But as for the characters themselves, the MC is here mainly to put down the Starfell Rock. It'll resonate with Zhongli's Pillar, and her ult will give me 10% crit rate when standing next to it due to her C1, and more energy when hitting enemies with it due to her C4. Now honestly, I could have ran Ningguang here too and gotten the 12% bonus GEO attack from her wall, but my Ningguang isn't leveled high enough to get the talent. My MC's artifacts are kinda thrown on and don't really matter because again, I'm only using her for the elemental skill and ult, so her build doesn't really matter. Then I have Zhongli. Zhongli's Pillar will resonate with the MC's Rock like I said, and Albedo's Elevator. His ult will also give me some burst and CC, and I could use his barrier if I need it. He's mainly here for the resonate effect, and I'm also using him as a DPS whenever Noelle doesn't have her ult up. And yeah, that's not often, but still. I have R3 Crescent Pike with 2-piece Bloodstained and Gladiator on him, because that's what I normally run on him as a DPS. But in all honesty, throwing a 2-piece Noblesse and Petra on him would have been more helpful, since he only attacked anything a few times. For the most part, all he did was use his Pillar and ult. Then I have Albedo. He's leveled enough to have his talent that gives Elemental Mastery. All this is doing though is making tougher barriers, but it is still nice to have. He's mainly here for his Elevator. Like I said, it'll resonate with the Pillar, and it'll also give my attacks an occasional AoE bonus attack. Albedo has Festering Desire with 2-piece Petra and Noblesse since all he's doing is putting down elevators and ulting. Again though, I didn't worry a whole lot about the builds for these 3 characters. Their base effects were all I really cared about. I won't lie though, having Albedo leveled and built more would have definitely increased my overall DPS by quite a bit, but there are only so many resources in the world. Then I have Noelle, who is both the DPS carry and the healer. Basically all the other characters are here to buff and enable her. I have a full video on Noelle that goes over how to build her and why Noelle is so incredibly powerful, so I'll link that below in case you guys want an in-depth look at her. I really recommend you give it a look if you haven't, but for now I'll quickly go over her. I'm running R2 White Blind with 4-piece Bolide because they're one of the best weapons and sets to run on her. Also her barrier health, ult attack, and heal amount scales by her defense, so I'm running all the defense I can on her. My Noelle's ult gains 85% of her defense as attack since I do have it at level 13, and with C6 I get another 50% on top of that, so that's what makes her the carry of this team. Also I can basically ignore the cold effect while her barrier and ultimate is up, since I'm going to be heavily out healing the cold, so I don't have to waste any time running for heat. Noelle is also going to be the way I deal with cryo barriers since I don't have any pyro. Her ult is basically going to brute force its way through them. Anyway, that's it for the team comp. Let's go into the run itself. Okay, so let's go ahead and start the run. I went ahead and picked the first option here. It's the only floor one, and I mean it's like a flat damage increase, so why wouldn't I, you know? But yeah, I'm doing this post-commentary because if I did a live commentary one, you guys would hear my keyboard. My keyboard is very loud and my mic is very sensitive, so I think I would be as loud as the keyboard. But yeah, but basically this is a common theme throughout the whole run. I put all 3 of my my rocks down, and I start hitting things with a bigger rock. Now you may have noticed I started hitting the enemies with Noelle's like base attack first, to get the white blind stacks up, so then I could pop ult and you know my ult can have the stacks ready to go. You can sort of see the stacks. You see the little glowing swords floating around me? As far as I know, those are the stacks, and you get 4. So once you have all 4, you can go ahead and safely pop your ult. As far as I can tell, you can get them during your ult, but it's probably best to have the damage right away. But yeah, basically here, I don't really have to worry about saving my ult for the cryo guy here, for his cryo barrier, because thankfully my ult will basically last the entire time. There are a ton of enemies in this floor, or in this like first half, so it's very easy to keep my ult up, and even by the time it's over I would have it up again anyway, so it's not really that big of a deal. At this point, I don't have Noelle ult. I get it right now, but at this point, you know, might as well go ahead and save it. If I start swinging it now, I won't have it back up. There aren't enough enemies for me to get enough hits to get my ult back up going into the next round, so it's better for me to clean these guys up with Zong. Nice and quick, moving on to the other side. Again, I did edit these together, so it feels sort of seamless. But anyway. So here we go, we have the lewd lady, the incredibly thick lewd lady. Takes forever to burn through this girl. With Noelle, it still takes a good amount of time, but basically the main problem here is her standing or staying in all the deployables that I pop up, because this girl can go ahead and teleport around. For the most part with Noelle, you can stagger or like stun lock her into a corner, and the one time this girl teleports, it's back into the thing. So here, I want to go right for the healers, because if I break the cryo barrier and then start, you know, hurting the mage, they're basically going to heal him up, and I'm probably going to get frozen. So I want to focus on them first right away, take them out. Basically, like, the plan is, you know, kill the first one with whatever, then go ahead and go to the second one, pop ult, kill it with ult, and then use the ult to go ahead and break the cryo barrier as well. Now, however, I won't have my ult going into the next round, but at the very least, it is pretty easy to go ahead and keep it up. Now, when I say next round, I mean like the next like second part, because this first part, you know, is technically separate because I did 2 runs, so I might have my ult going in with this one, I can't remember. But yeah, that's the only inconsistent thing here, is like, what ults do I have in going to the next step, since it's edited together. But here I picked the other floor buff, since it lasts for the whole floor. It's a bit more damage, you know, when I sprint every 8 or so seconds, so why not? It was like the best possible one for me to go for, mainly because it'll last in the other parts too. So yeah, getting my stacks, and this is basically like the first half of the first floor, or the first chamber, I should say. There's a ton of little enemies, super easy to keep my ult up. As you guys can see, I am being affected by the cold, but doesn't really matter because Noelle easily out heals it. And none of these ice barriers are really a problem. I think the only place I would probably have a problem are some of the other floors that have the wooden barriers. But, you know, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Honestly, there isn't really a lot I can commentate when it comes to this thing. It's mainly so you guys aren't, like, sitting with nothing but, like, the game sound. Because for the most part, it's I put down rock, and then I swing rock. That's basically what this comp is. It kind of feels like very caveman in a way. But it's super powerful, and I love this Abyss because this Abyss allows you to do like this kind of comp. The other Abyss, there were several different types of elemental barriers, so it's more difficult to make it work. Noelle's ult can brute force them, but not as easily as with the cryo one. Also right here, in case you guys don't know, with the ice lady here, her barrier is more powerful while her little flies are up. So killing her flies will make the barrier weaker, so it's easier to burst through. And that's a good thing about Noelle ult, because it hits her and the little ice guys, the flies, at the same time. Also, I never really realized how thick a standard hoarder was until now. Like, they take hits. I thought they were weak like hillies, but no. Anyway, though, again, I want to keep my ult going into the next half, so I'm going to go ahead and finish him off with Zhongli. And there you go. Final floor, or final part, as we go through the loading screen here. I don't want the weak point one. It is the floor buff, but this is the final part of the floor, so I can go ahead and pick, you know, a like standard buff. There was a defense one that helps out Noelle a ton, 40% more defense. I already explained how good Noelle is with her defense stat. So that's the best possible thing I could go for. Mainly I think I ult here to see where he is, yeah. Noelle's ult, you know, I can pop it and no matter where I swing, he'll probably be in the ult. But I won't be able to like hit him with the primary attack to get the stacks as easy since the primary hit isn't anywhere near as big and wide as the ult hit. Also, it's kind of cool. I noticed my barrier took out all the flies, so I don't have to worry about this girl's barrier going into this fight right here. And there, right there, you see, oh, they respawn, so I guess I sort of do. But right there, you saw the most annoying part about having so many deployables on the field. You are very likely to start climbing one. So that can kill a few seconds. So be careful about that. But yeah, at this point, it's pretty easy work. I don't think this girl's going to be teleporting. I do basically stun lock her into oblivion, and that one is done. And moving on to the final part, we're fighting the big Ice Yeti guy. But yeah, basically for this guy, there is like a bit more to this. So basically what I kind of want to do is, normally he one-hits barriers, but with enough Elemental Mastery, and I get Elemental Mastery from Albedo's ult there, I can make the barriers basically take like 2 hits, at least the crystallized ones. My normal barrier, not really, but you know, the Elemental Mastery is definitely nice, so I don't have to constantly be making more and more barriers. But yeah, this guy really, for the most part, does not care about how many barriers you run. He is going to break through them rather easily. I think this is the first time I popped the Zhongli barrier because, you know, I didn't have one. And his Ice barrier was broken, so there's no way to crystallize another one. But yeah, at this point, once the Noelle ult comes out, Noelle basically, not quick work, because this guy is incredibly thick, but Noelle basically takes care of him. But yeah, that's the run. I didn't do a video on floor 9, because if I can do floor 10 with this team, then I can obviously do floor 9. If you guys want to see a video on floor 9 as well, I totally can though. Floor 11 may be doable, but without a cleanse, Noelle is never going to have her ult up, so I'd have to use a unit that isn't Noelle. And I don't really have another GEO DPS carry, at least not until 1.3 when Zhongli gets his buffs. There's also no other GEO healer, but if I can rotate my barriers well enough, I won't get hit anyway, so that part isn't too big of a deal. Floor 12, however, is probably way more possible. I'm not positive if I'll be able to 9-star it with this team unless I want to put more resources into them, but if you guys want to see that run as well, then let me know. I would also like to do more runs when the buffs to Zhongli and GEO Resonance come out so you guys can see the difference. I plan to make several videos on GEO units once 1.3 hits, so look forward to that. If you couldn't tell, I'm a pretty big GEO fan. It's definitely my favorite element. But yeah, that's pretty much it guys. I want to thank y'all for watching. I very much appreciate it, and I'm gonna see you guys later. Bye!